Anthony. Anthony. Where's Vivian? Shouldn't be in the kitchen on Mondays. Tell him to get out of the kitchen and get up. Anthony. Where's Vivian? Shouldn't be in the kitchen on Mondays. Tell him to get out of the kitchen.
That one.
That's, yeah. That's.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. 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 Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balabha Yasodhanandana Braja Janarandana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janarandana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamunati Ravanachari. Yamunati Ravanachari. Asatara Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Asatara Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Navadvip Maya Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhakti Devi all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Stam Sajivam Vande Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's April 22nd, 2024, Hillsborough, North Carolina, New Goloka. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 51, the deliverance it's April 22nd, 2024, Hillsborough, North Carolina, New Goloka. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 51, the deliverance of Muchakunda, text 37. Partivan Yuru Janmabhi Rajam Sivimame Guna Karma Bidhanani Partivan Yuru Janmabhi Name Janmani Karma karhichit guna karma bidhanani. Name janmani karhichit mame. Please chant. Partivanyu janmabi rajam sivi mame. Guna karma bidhanani. Partivanyu janmabi. Name janmani karhichit. Guna karma bidhanani. Thank you so much. Kvachit rajam sivi janmani karhichit. Partivanyu janmabi. Kvachit rajam sivi mame. Guna karma didhanani. Partivanyu janmabi. Name janmani karhichit. Guna karma didhanani. Kvachit rajam janmani karhichit. Partivanyu janmabi. Kvachit rajam sivi mame. Guna karma bidhanani. Partivanyu janmabi. Name janmani karhichit. Guna karma bidhanani. At some time. Rajamsi. Name janmani. The particles of dust. Vimame. Kvachit. One might count. At some time. Partivani. Rajamsi. On the earth. Particles of dust. Through janmabihi. Vimame. In many lifetimes. One might count. Guna. Partivani. Qualities. On the earth. Activities. Through janmabihi. Abhidhanani. In many lifetimes. And names. Guna. Na. Qualities. Not. Me. Karma. My. Activities. Janmani. Abhidhanani. Births. Karhichit. And names. Never. Not. May. My. Translation. Janmani. Translation. After many lifetimes, someone might count the dust particles on the earth, but no one can ever finish counting my qualities, activities. Translation. After many lifetimes, someone might count the dust particles on the earth, but no one can ever finish counting my qualities, activities, names, and by Jiva Goswami. He says Vimane should be Vimani. To look at. So, you know, these shastras are copied over and over again. And sometimes he says Vimane should be Vimani in the copying. So one may count the particles of dust, but not my births, which have names according to my qualities and activities. Mistake in the copying. One may count the particles of dust, but not my births, activities, which have names according to my qualities and activities. I want to look also. Shah says that Janmani in this verse also indicates activities, Goswami, since this is referred to 14:7. And this is when also. I had a commentary by Srila the cowherd boys and calves that Lord Brahma has taken and been replaced by Krishna, the manifest as Vishnu forms, and Lord Brahma the cowherd boys and calves that Lord Brahma has. And so in this text 14:7, the manifest as the translation is, in time skilled people might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles in this text 14:7, or perhaps even the photons. The translation is, in time skilled people might be able to count all the atoms of the earth possessed by you, snow, the vitalizer of all the photons in the sky, who have descended to display those qualities. Who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the vitalizer of all qualities. Particularly, one cannot understand the extent of your qualities when you appear in the world. Qualities which were previously latent and unmanifest. Particularly, one cannot understand the extent of your qualities when you appear in the world. Being manifest, qualities which were previously latent and unmanifest. Who can in detail by you now enumerate your qualities? You are the life giver of no one can. Because you have appeared in this world to give benefit to all. Who can in detail enumerate your qualities? No one can. With me, because you have appeared in this world to give benefit to all. The meaning is this. Now, the Lord reveals qualities suitable for the benefit of that significant. The jivas are unlimited and their natures are unlimited and their conditions are unlimited for the benefit of qualities that you reveal for each of them. The jivas are unlimited and their natures are unlimited and their conditions are unlimited. Thus, your qualities that you reveal for each of them are unlimited. So basically, the unlimited jivas each have unlimited natures, particles of earth, snow, and therefore they are attracted to particular qualities. So basically, the unlimited jivas each have unlimited natures,
because
and therefore they are
particular
attracted to
jivas.
particular
So although
qualities
Krishna's
of
qualities
the
cannot
Lord, that
be
the Lord is
measured
showing
or
particular
counted,
qualities,
as Srila Rupa Goswami does
there
give
are
us
particular
64
jivas.
qualities
So although
of
Krishna's
Krishna
qualities cannot
his
be
Bhakti
measured
Rasamrita
or
Sindhu,
counted, and he
as
does
Srila
this
Rupa
as
Goswami
part of
does
the
give us
Vibhava
64
section
qualities
of the southern
of Krishna.
ocean. What
in
is
his
it
Bhakti
that
Rasamrita
attracts us to
Sindhu,
Krishna? What
and
is
he
it
does
that
this
brings
as part
out
of the
our
Vibhava
love for
section,
Krishna?
and one of these
Of the southern
is
ocean.
Krishna's
What
qualities.
is it that attracts
Now,
us
it's
to
interesting
Krishna?
when
What is it
Krishna's
that
qualities
brings
are
out
seen as
our love for Krishna?
and
Like
one of these
part of
is
Krishna, then
Krishna's
they're considered
qualities.
the
Now,
Vishaya.
it's interesting when
The
Krishna's
main-
qualities
the main
are
base, what
seen
Prabhupada calls
as
the basic
like attraction,
part of Krishna,
and when they're
then
considered kind of on their own,
the Vishaya, then they're
the
considered
main
the main base, what Prabhupada calls the basic.
So even though there's
attraction,
unlimited,
and when they're
uncountable
considered
qualities,
kind of on their
Rupa
own,
Goswami has
then they're
enumerated
considered
64,
64, or what Prabhupada
and
would call
of course we don't
impelling.
have a whole
So
lot
even
of
though
time.
there's
We have like
unlimited
33
uncountable
minutes
qualities,
to go through
Rupa
64
Goswami
qualities.
has enumerated
But we're going to just
64.
touch each of them.
And of
course,
first,
we
there are
don't
the
have a whole
qualities
lot of
shared
time.
with
We
all
have, like,
living beings,
33
and this is
minutes
interesting
to go through
because it
64
means that we also have
But we're
these
going to
next
just
touch
qualities
each of them.
to a minute
First, there are the
degree.
qualities shared with all living
but we are
beings,
minute,
and this is
so when
interesting
minute beings have
because it means
qualities
that
to a
we
minute
also
degree.
have these next
And
qualities.
I feel
To a
that these
minute
qualities
degree,
that we also share with Krishna
but
are
we are
important
minute. So
because
when minute beings have
Krishna
qualities
talks
to a
about
minute
that when we
degree.
realize ourself, we feel
And
fully satisfied.
I feel
So
that
we should
these
understand
qualities
what
that
is
we also
ourself.
share with Krishna are important.
So Krishna has
because,
beautiful
Krishna
bodily
talks about that
features.
when we
Now,
realize
as we go
ourself,
through these
we feel fully
qualities,
satisfied. So we should
we have,
understand what is
in our
ourself.
Krishna meditations book,
So
the
Krishna
last
has
section focuses
beautiful
on Krishna's
bodily
64
features.
qualities.
Now, as we go
And
through
so what
these
I'm going to look at here is how we
have,
can be
in
reminded
our Krishna
of these
meditations book,
qualities
the
of
last
Krishna
section
in
focuses
our
on Krishna's
daily
64
life.
qualities. So with
And
the
so what I'm
things
going
that
to
we
look
see
at
and
here
hear,
is
smell,
how we
touch,
can
taste,
be
think about in our
reminded
life,
of these
how can
qualities of
remember
Krishna
this is one
in
of
our
Krishna's
daily
qualities.
life.
So of course,
with the
the
things that we
universe
see
around
and
us
hear,
is
smell,
filled with
touch,
beauty,
taste,
the
think about in our
flowers,
life,
the birds,
how
the
can
sunrise, the
remember
sunset,
this
the
is one of
clouds,
Krishna's
and
qualities.
all of these things
So
can
of
remind
course,
us
the
that
universe
Krishna
around
is
us is
beautiful.
filled with beauty,
And
the
he has
flowers, the
auspicious
birds, the sunrise, the
characteristics.
sunset, the
So
clouds,
again, the world
and all
around
of
us
these
is
things
full
can
of
remind us
auspiciousness.
that Krishna is
Actually,
beautiful.
everything
And he
around
has
us is
auspicious
good and
characteristics.
merciful. Prabhupada says in his
So
purport
again, the
to
world
15:15,
around us is full
God
of
is all good,
auspiciousness.
God is all merciful.
Actually,
And
everything
his form
around
is
us
also
good
very
and merciful.
pleasing.
Prabhupada says in his
And
purport to
interestingly enough, also
15:15,
from
God is all
10:14 in the
good,
prayers
God
of
is
Lord
all
Brahma,
merciful.
he says this
And his
temporary
form is
existence
also
of the
very
material
pleasing.
world appears
And
to be
interestingly enough,
pleasing
also
and dear
from 10:14
on account
in
of
the
its
prayers of
having
Lord Brahma.
evolved from your body.
He says this temporary
anything that
existence
appears
of the
pleasing
material
and dear
world
to us,
appears
it
to
has
be
that nature
pleasing and dear
because it's actually
on account
coming
of its
from
having
Krishna's
evolved from
pleasing
your
quality.
body.
So
Krishna
anything
is
that appears
effulgent.
pleasing and dear to us. Krishna
has
says
that
in the
nature
Bhagavad Gita that he's
because
the
it's
source of
actually
light
coming
in
from
all
Krishna's
luminous
pleasing
objects. And I was just
quality.
hearing Srila Prabhupada
Krishna
say this,
is effulgent.
that anything we see that is light,
Krishna says in
that
the Bhagavad
light
Gita
is
that
actually
he's
coming
the
from
source of
Krishna's
light in all
effulgence. So
luminous
the light of our
objects, and I was
phone,
just
the light
hearing
of our
Srila
computer,
Prabhupada say
the light
this,
in the
that
ceiling,
anything
the
we
sun,
see that is
the
light,
light of everything,
that light is actually
coming
coming
from
from
Krishna's
Krishna is
effulgence.
so
the light of
effulgent.
our phone, the light
And
of our
he's very
computer, the light
strong.
in the ceiling, the light of the sun,
And of course,
the
many
light of
things
everything
in our life can remind us of
remind us,
Krishna's
Krishna
strength, the
is so
strength of the
effulgent.
wind, the strength of
And
water,
he's very
the strength of
strong.
air, the strength of fire.
And of course, many
all of
things
these
in
things
our
remind
life
us
can
that
remind
Krishna
us
is
of
very,
Krishna's
very
strength, the
strong.
strength
He's
of
so
the
strong
wind,
that
the
with
strength
his-
of water,
the little finger
the
of his
strength
left
of air,
hand,
the
he
strength of
lifted a
fire.
mountain.
All of these
And
things
ever
remind us that
youthful.
Krishna is
So
very,
although
very strong. He's
Ajam
so strong
Purana
that with
Purusham
his-
Navayovanam
the little
cha.
finger of his
Although
left
he's
hand,
the
he
oldest,
lifted a mountain.
he always appears as
and
ever
ever
youthful.
And these are
So
Krishna's
although,
here. Three
Ajam Purana
ages,
Purusham Navayovanam cha.
Kumara,
Although
Puganda,
he's the
and,
oldest, he
Kishora.
always appears as a
So
fresh
Krishna
youth.
never
And
ages
these are
beyond
Krishna's
a
here,
young
three
man.
ages.
And of course,
Kumara,
youthfulness
Puganda,
is very
and,
attractive.
Kishora.
So Krishna never
Youthful
ages
energy
beyond a
in
young
humans
man.
and animals
And of course,
plants.
youthfulness
Krishna
is
says, he is the
very
flower-bearing
attractive.
spring. It's the youthfulness
Youthful
of the season.
energy.
And whenever
And
we
in
are
humans
enchanted
and
by youth,
animals
we can
and
think,
plants.
Krishna is ever
And like
youthful.
Krishna
And says he is
wonderful
the flower-bearing
linguist.
spring. It's the
So
youthfulness
the pleasure
of the
that we
season.
find in
And
knowing
whenever we are
language,
enchanted
some of
by
us
youth,
know
we
more
can
than
think,
one
"Ah,
language,
Krishna
some of
is
you
ever
probably
useful,
know,
like
and a
3
wonderful
languages."
linguist.
Right, but even
So
playing
the
with
pleasure
words
that we
and
find
languages,
in knowing language is some
we
of
can
us know
remember
more
that
than
Krishna
one language.
knows
Some of you
all
probably
of the
know like 3
languages, even that of the animals.
But even playing with
And
the
Krishna
words
is very
languages, truthful.
And we can remember that Krishna
we find
knows
great
all of the
satisfaction
languages,
whenever we
even that
keep
of
our
the
word. We're
animals.
like, yes, I've kept my
And
word.
Krishna is
I've kept my
very
vow. Or when
truthful.
people keep their word to us, we find great satisfaction
little
whenever
indication
we keep our
of
word.
the
We're like,
wonderfulness
yes, I've
of
kept
the
my
fact
word,
that
I've kept
Krishna
my vow.
always
Or
keeps
when
his
people keep their
promise.
word to us.
And a very pleasing
This is a
talker.
little indication. So
of
Krishna
the
is not only
wonderfulness
expert
of
in
the fact
what
that
he
Krishna
says,
always keeps
but he's
his
also expert
promise.
in how he
and a very
says it.
pleasing talker.
His
So Krishna
delivery,
is
like
not
we
only
teach people
expert
public
in
speaking,
what
we
he
always
says,
teach them both the
but he's also
delivery
expert in
and the
how he
content.
says it.
And Krishna is such a pleasing
His
talker.
delivery,
that
like
he
we
could teach
send
people
his
public
enemy
speaking,
away
we
with
always
a
teach
smile.
them both the
And he could
delivery
convince Kali
and
to
the
leave
content.
Vrindavan.
And Krishna is
And
such
then
a fluent
fluent
talker that he could
send
send
his
meaningful
enemy
words with
away
all
with a smile.
politeness
And he could
and
convince
good
Kali to
qualities.
leave Vrindavan.
So Krishna
And
is
then
always
fluent.
listening to everything that we say,
Meaningful
everything that we
words with
think.
all politeness.
And when both
and
our
good
words and
qualities.
our intentions. So Krishna is
So
always
not only the
listening to
words, but the
everything that we
intentions
say, everything
are
that
beneficial
we think.
and caring.
And
then
when
we're
both
also
our
in
words
sync
and
with
our
this fluent
intentions, quality.
So not only the
of
words,
Krishna,
but the intentions
are
and
beneficial
highly
and
learned.
caring,
And it's
then we're
interesting
also
here that
in
Srila
sync
Rupa
with
Goswami
this
defines
fluent
being learned
quality
as
both being educated and knowing
and
moral
highly learned.
principles.
And it's interesting
Acting
here that
according
Srila
to
Rupa
moral
Goswami
principles.
defines
Prabhupada
being learned
would talk about a
as
lot.
both being
How people
educated
nowadays
and
get
knowing
very high
moral
levels of
principles.
education, but they
Acting
don't get
according to
trained in
moral
moral
principles.
principles. Something that Srila Prabhupada
We
would
find
talk
that
about a
often
lot.
modern
How
universities
people
are
nowadays get
simply
very
centers
high levels of
immorality.
education, but they don't
But
get trained
actually,
in
to
moral
be
principles.
learned, one must be
We
both
find that often
very
modern
educated and
universities
very
are simply
moral.
centers of immorality.
But actually, to be learned, one must be both.
And this highly
very
intelligent
educated
also means
and
a very sharp
moral.
memory and a fine discretion. And it's relevant that here Srila Rupa
And this
Goswami
highly
gives as an
intelligent also
example
means
of
a
Krishna's
very sharp
intelligence,
memory
how
and a
he dealt with
fine
discretion.
which
And
is,
it's
of course, what we're
relevant
reading about
that here Srila Rupa
this
Goswami
chapter,
gives as an
in
example
chapter
of
51,
Krishna's intelligence,
that how he had
how
this
he dealt with
untouchable
Kali
king,
and he engaged
which is, of course, what we're reading
Muchakunda
about
with
in-
his
in
particular
this
benediction
chapter,
of being able
in
to
chapter
burn to
51,
ashes anyone who
that
woke
how
him up.
he had this
In
untouchable
killing
king
Muchakunda
and he
without having to
engaged
touch him.
Muchakunda
himself
with his particular
and this is
benediction
one of my
of
favorite
being able to
qualities
burn
of
to
Krishna,
ashes
that anyone
he's
who woke him
a
up
genius
in killing Muchakunda
Yes.
without having to touch
So
him.
we know what it's
himself.
like,
the
and
pleasure
this is one
of
of my
having
favorite
this sort of
qualities of
lively,
Krishna, that he's
sportive
a
debate
genius
with other people. So Krishna
Yes.
really enjoys
So
this.
we know what it's
and,
like.
There's
the
this
pleasure
pleasure
of
of having this sort of lively, sportive debate with other people. So Krishna really enjoys this.
Is always
And
joking around.
there's this course
And
song
I
by
love this
Narottama
particular
Das
example
Thakur,
that Srila Rupa
Hasya
Goswami
Hasya
gives. So
Sambhasane.
Krishna
How
told
the-
Radharani he would
Krishna
come in the
with the
evening,
gopis
but he
is
didn't
always
actually show up
joking around
until the morning.
And I love this particular
And when he
example
showed
that
up,
Srila Rupa
he
Goswami
wasn't
gives. So
quite
Krishna told
properly
Radharani he would
attired.
come in the evening, but
He
he
must
didn't
have lost
actually
his
show up
chadar
until
or something in
And
the
so
morning.
she says to him, "Where are
And
your
when he
clothes?"
showed up, he wasn't quite
Vasa.
where are your
properly
clothes?
attired.
But
But Vasa has more than
must
one
have
meaning,
lost his
just like in
chadar or
any
something.
language.
And so she says
There's
to him,
words that have
"Where
more
are
than
your
one
clothes?"
meaning. And she
Vasa,
says, "Where's your
where are
clothes?"
your
And he
clothes?
says,
But Vasa has more
"Oh,
than one
my
meaning,
residence,
just like
which
in
is
any
another
language,
meaning of Vasa.
there's words
My
that have more
residence
than
is in
one
your beautiful
meaning.
eyes.
And
She says, "I didn't ask about your
And he
residence. I
says,
asked about your
"Oh,
clothes."
my residence,"
And then he
which is
uses
another
another
meaning
meaning
of
of the word
Vasa.
vasa.
My
which is
residence is in
fragrance.
your beautiful
And he
eyes.
says, "I have
She
assumed
says,
this
"I didn't
fragrance
ask
about
about
your
being
residence. I
close
asked
to
about
you."
your clothes."
And then,
And then he
she
uses
says,
another
"I
meaning
forget
of the
that."
word
She
vasa,
says,
which
"Where
is
did you spend
fragrance.
the night?"
And he says,
And then
"I
he
have assumed
twists
this
that
fragrance
around by being
to say,
close
do
to
you mean that night has
And
kidnapped
then,
me?"
she
And then
says,
she just
"Oh,
laughs
forget
at
she's
that.
not
She says, "Where did
angry
you
at him
spend the
anymore."
night?" So
And
this
then he
we have this
twists
sort
that
of
around
humor
to say,
in
"Do you
any
mean
language
that
where
night
we
has
call it
kidnapped
puns,
me?" And then she just
where you
laughs and
take
she's not
one
angry at him
meaning of a
anymore.
word, or
So
you
this
take
we
words
have
that
this
have
sort
similar
of sound
humor
and
in
you have
any
like a
language
play
where we
on
call it
words. So
puns,
Krishna's very
where
expert
you take one
at this kind
meaning of a
joking.
word, or you take words
And he's
that
very
have similar
artistic.
sounds, and you have like a play
So
on words.
this
So
is
Krishna's
can
very
refer
expert
to
that
at
Krishna
this kind
dresses
of
himself
joking.
very artistically,
And
he
he's
dresses
very
himself
himself
artistic,
like a dancing actor.
So
And of
this
course,
is-
we
can
see
refer to
aspects
that
of
Krishna
Krishna's
dresses himself
artistry
very artistically.
everywhere.
He dresses himself.
Right? Would you
Like
remember
a
anyone remember what the
dancing actor.
Bhagavatam says?
And of course,
particularly
we
Krishna's
see
artistry
aspects of Krishna's
in the birds.
artistry, the singing of the
Everywhere.
birds, the colors of the
Right?
birds.
Would you remember anyone
the
remember what the
dancing of the
Bhagavatam
birds.
says? We
And they
particularly
remind
see
us that
Krishna's
Krishna is
artistry
such an artist in the birds.
Yes. We are
The
also
singing
the
of the
Bhagavatam
birds,
tells
the
us
colors
that
of the
sunrise
birds,
and
the
sunset
dancing
is the
of the
moving
birds.
of his
And
clothes.
they remind us that
through the
Krishna is
sky.
such an artist.
And sometimes the
We
acharyas
also
talk
the
about how the
Bhagavatam tells us
Vrindavan
that
forest
sunrise
is a
and
person,
sunset is
and
the
how
moving
this
of his
person, the
clothes
forest, is being
through the
decorated
sky.
in so many ways.
And sometimes
Of course,
the
Krishna is
acharyas
not only
talk about
artistic
how the Vrindavan
in,
forest is a person,
in how he dresses
and how
himself,
this person,
but
the
also
forest,
in
is
being
being
decorated
songwriter
in so many ways.
as a dancer.
Of course, Krishna is not only
making
artistic
riddles, playing his flute, being a
in
musician,
how he dresses
stringing
himself,
garlands,
but also
drawing
in
pictures,
being a
songwriter,
winning at games.
as a dancer.
He's also artistic
making
in
riddles,
dressing
playing his flute, being a
beloveds.
musician, stringing garlands,
And then
drawing
Krishna is
pictures,
clever, which Srila Rupa Goswami
winning at
defines
games.
as
He's also artistic
multitasking.
in dressing his
That Krishna
beloveds.
accomplishes many things
And then
with
Krishna
one
is
action,
clever, which
and
Srila
he
Rupa
can do
Goswami
many
defines
things at once.
as
Of course,
multitasking.
Krishna's multitasking ability
that Krishna
is
accomplishes many
absolutely
things
beyond
with
our
one action,
comprehension.
and he can do
Srila
many,
Vishwanath
many
Chakravarti
things at
Thakur
once. Of
talks
course,
about
Krishna's
how we shouldn't think that
multitasking
Krishna
ability
can't hear our
is
prayers
absolutely
in
beyond
Goloka
our
Vrindavan.
We shouldn't think it's just
Srila
Paramatma
Vishwanath
who's
Chakravarti
hearing our
Thakur
prayers.
talks about
But
how
at the
we
same
shouldn't
time,
think that
Krishna's
Krishna
just playing
can't hear
with
our
his friends
prayers
and dancing with the
in
gopis
Goloka Vrindavan.
And we shouldn't think it's just
loses
Paramatma who's
practically in
hearing our
awareness that
prayers.
he's God.
But at the same
So he
time,
can do
Krishna's
that.
just playing with
He
his
can be in
friends and
fear of
dancing
Mother
with the
Yasoda,
gopis,
dancing with the
and
gopis, and at
he
the same time
loses practically
he
in
can hear all of
awareness
our
that he's
prayers. At
God.
the same time, he can
So he can
manage
do that.
and
He
intertwine
can be in
all
fear of Mother
karma
Yasoda,
of
dancing
all
with the
of the
gopis, and at the
billions
same
and
time,
billions and
he can
trillions
hear
and
all of our
trillions
prayers.
of
At the
living
same time, he
entities.
can manage
And whenever
and
we're
intertwine
multitasking
all
on
of
a
the
very
karma
small level,
of
I can
all
do
of
about
the
3 or 4
billions
things.
and billions and trillions and trillions of living
Think
entities.
about how Krishna
And
is
whenever
so
we're
clever.
multitasking on a
An
very small
expert.
level, I can do about 3 or 4 things. Who can very quickly execute a
Think
difficult
about
task.
how Krishna is
So
so
Krishna's
clever.
very expert on the
An
battlefield.
Who
Whatever
can very
weapons
quickly
thrown at him, he has a
execute
counter
a
weapon, and he's
difficult
very expert
task.
in his rasa
So
dancing.
Krishna's
that
very
each
expert
gopi
on the
thinks
battlefield.
that he is right there.
Whatever weapons
And
thrown
we're
at him,
so,
he has a counter weapon.
enamored
and he's very
often by
expert
people who
in
are
his
expert
rasa
in
dancing
different
that
ways.
each gopi
And
thinks
they can remind us
that
a little
he
bit
is
of Krishna's
right
ultimate
there.
expertise.
And we're so
and he's very grateful.
enamored often by
Gratitude is
people
one of
who
the
are
14
expert in
items
different
of
ways.
knowledge.
And
And
they
the
can remind us a
Panchatantra
little
says
bit of
that
Krishna's
the worst
ultimate
person
expertise.
is an ingrate.
And he's very grateful.
Actually,
Gratitude
when
is
the
one
Lord
of the
and the
14
gopis are
items
talking
of
in
knowledge,
1032
and the
about the different
Panchatantra
types
says
of people.
that the worst person
And the worst
is
person
an
is
ingrate.
that person who is
Actually,
ungrateful.
when the Lord and the
Krishna's
gopis are
always
talking in
very
1032
grateful,
about the different
which
types
is
of
interesting
people.
because
And
how
the
much can
worst
we do
person
for
is
him?
that
We can do
person who is
practically speaking
ungrateful
nothing
for
So
him.
Krishna's
But yet
always
anything
very
that's given to him,
grateful,
he
which
is
is interesting
extremely
because how much can we
grateful.
do for him? We can do
And
practically
as
speaking
we ourselves,
nothing
we should
for
be
him.
cultivating
But yet
gratitude
anything that's given
in
to
our
him,
life. Actually,
he
we
is
should be cultivating
extremely
gratitude at every
grateful.
moment.
And in
And
this way,
as
can
we
remember
ourselves,
that
we should
Krishna
be
is always
cultivating
so
gratitude
in our
and
life.
very
Actually, we should be cultivating
determined.
gratitude at every
He
moment.
saved Draupadi,
And in this way, we
saved
can remember
Arjuna.
that Krishna is
He was
always
determined
so
to get
grateful
the Parijata
and
flower.
very determined.
And we see this kind of
He saved
determination
Draupadi.
in nature.
He saved
Right,
Arjuna.
we know the sun's going to
He was
rise every day.
determined
We
to
know
get the
when it's going to
Parijata
rise. We know
flower.
that the seasons are going to change.
And we see this
we know
kind
that
of
we can rely
determination in nature.
on Krishna.
And we know the sun's going to rise every day. We know when
An
it's going
expert
to rise.
judge
we know
of
that
time
the
and
seasons are going to
circumstance.
change. This
We
is
know that
also
we
a
can
very
rely
important quality
on
that we are
Krishna.
supposed to cultivate in our own
And an
lives.
expert
Srila
judge
Prabhupada
of
says that
time
it's
and
absolutely
circumstance.
required.
This is
to
also
both
a very
keep the
important
essential
quality that
principles
we
of
are
Krishna
supposed
consciousness
to cultivate
and to
in our
adjust
own
them
lives.
according to
Srila
time,
Prabhupada
place, and
says it is
circumstance.
absolutely
So to know what are the
required
principles
to both
that
keep
can't be
the
changed
essential
and the
principles
details
of
that
Krishna
have to be
consciousness
adjusted.
and to
And
adjust
if you
them according
freeze
to
the
time, place, and
details, so you adjust the
circumstance.
principles.
So to know what are
either
the
way,
principles that
then
can't
the
be
spiritual
changed and
movement
will
details
die.
that have to
Just
be
like
adjusted.
on an individual
And if
level.
you how do I
freeze
keep my
the details,
identity?
so you adjust
I
the
maintain my
principles
identity,
either way,
and yet I
then the
respond to
spiritual
my
movement will die.
circumstances.
Just like on an
And Prabhupada
individual
says this is
level, how do I
absolutely
keep my
required
identity?
to do
I
this.
maintain my
That he
identity,
sees by
and yet
the
I
authorities
respond
of
to
the
my
scriptures. Prabhupada talks about this a lot.
And Prabhupada
How
says this
Krishna
is
quotes the
absolutely
Vedanta
required
Sutra
to do
in
this.
the Bhagavad Gita.
That he sees by the
He has
authorities
the
of the
eyes
scriptures.
of
Prabhupada talks
scriptures.
about this a lot.
So we
How
should
Krishna
also be
quotes the
running
Vedanta
our
Sutra
lives by
in the Bhagavad
scriptures.
Gita. He has the
just
eyes
like if you want to
of
travel
the
somewhere
scriptures.
and now in
So we should
2024,
also
use
be
a GPS,
running our
go
lives
left, go
by
right, go here,
the
that
scriptures.
you have a map
of where to
just
go.
like
And
if
the
you want to
Shastra
travel
simile is a
somewhere and
map
now in
for
2024
us.
you use a GPS, you know, go
to
left,
be
go
able to
right,
understand how
have a
to
map
act of where to go. And the Shastra similarly
purity
is a
of
map
Krishna is something, again,
for
that Srila
us.
Prabhupada talks about a lot, to be able to
that
understand
he himself
how
never
never becomes contaminated, and he's able to
This
purify
purity
others.
of Krishna is
and
something,
what is
again,
the
that Srila
example
Prabhupada
in our daily
talks
lives
about a
Prabhupada
lot,
gives of this?
that
The
he
sun-
himself never
that
becomes
the sun
contaminated,
doesn't
and he's
become
able to
contam-
purify
The sun is
others.
shining on, and what is the example
filthy
in our daily
places.
lives?
The sun is
Prabhupada gives
shining
of
on
this.
stool and
The
urine,
sun-
but the sun doesn't become
the sun
contaminated.
doesn't
In
become
fact, the
contaminated.
sun
is shining on
purifies
that dirty
filthy
place.
place.
So we should
The sun
also
is
be
shining
acting
on
like
stool
this
and
in
urine,
the
but
world.
the sun doesn't
That
become
we should not
contaminated.
allow ourselves
In fact,
to
the
become
sun
contaminated
purifies
by the world, but rather we
that
should
dirty
purify.
place.
So we should also
the
be
places that
acting
we
like
go.
this in the world. This is
That we should not
described by
allow
Srila
ourselves
Prabhupada,
to become contaminated
where
by
he
the
talks
world, but
about
rather
that
we
if
should
we
purify
chant Hare
the
Krishna
places
and
that we
meditate
go.
on Krishna's pastimes, this is
then wherever we
described by
go,
Srila
we shall
Prabhupada,
create a holy place.
where he talks about that if we
Self-controlled.
chant Hare Krishna and
of course, this
meditate on
example
Krishna's
is given
pastimes,
by
then
Bhishma.
wherever we go, we
Bhishma
shall
says,
create
although
a
I am a
holy
lifetime
place.
brahmachari, I would have become
Self-controlled.
disturbed in the presence
And
of
of course,
all
this
these
example
beautiful
is
women.
given by
But Krishna never
Bhishma.
becomes
Bhishma
disturbed.
says,
Krishna
although I am a
doesn't
lifetime
come
brahmachari,
under the modes of
I would have
passion
become
and ignorance
disturbed in the
like
presence
an
of all these
ordinary
beautiful
conditioned
women.
soul.
But Krishna never becomes disturbed.
And he's
Krishna
steadfast.
doesn't come under
Here,
the modes of passion
example
and
of getting the
ignorance
Shaiman
like an
Taka jewel.
ordinary condition.
And this is something we
can think about when we
And
see
he's
plants
steadfast.
pushing their way through asphalt.
Here, the
Example
they're
of getting
determined.
the Shaiman
I'm going
Taka
to
jewel.
reach the sun.
And this is something we can think about.
Determined.
He's very determined to take us back to home, back to Godhead.
Right, they're determined.
I'm going
Prabhupada
to reach
talks
the
about
sun.
that.
And
Similarly,
will be
Krishna
ultimately
is very
dragged to success.
determined.
He's very determined to
and
take us back
forbearing.
to home, back to Godhead.
To tolerate all kinds of troubles.
Prabhupada What's the example that Srila Prabhupada gives of forbearance?
Success.
And forbearing to tolerate all kinds of troubles.
Well,
What's
but
the
in
example that Srila
nature-
Prabhupada gives of forbearance? The earth. Well, but
And
although
in-
we're
in
walking on
nature-
the earth and drilling into the earth is very tolerant. And the other example in nature is the earth, trees. And although we're walking on the earth and drilling into
trees,
the earth is
and we
very
need to have
tolerant.
this
And the other
forbearing,
example in nature
tolerant
is
nature.
the trees. And forgiving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us example
Krishna
of the
forgave
trees.
Shishupal
And we need to
100
have
times,
this forbearing
without having
tolerant
forgiveness.
nature. We actually can't
And
live
forgiving.
without being forgiving. It's impossible.
Krishna
We can't
forgave
deal with other
Shishupal
living entities
100 times
without being forgiving.
without having
forgiveness.
forgiveness.
We actually
people
can't
are
live
constantly
without
going
being
to be
forgiving.
making mistakes
It's
and
impossible. We
irritating
can't
us
deal
in
with
various
other
ways.
living entities. And that
without
piece of
being
being
forgiven.
forgiven. I mean, of taking
People
a
are
humble
constantly
position
going
and
to be
asking
making
for
mistakes
forgiveness
and
and irritating
been
us
an
in
offender.
various ways. And that piece of being
forgiven.
we could. I mean,
Of
actually,
taking a humble
I mentioned
position and
yesterday,
asking
I
for
was gonna-
forgiveness
to some
when we
devotees. I
have
was
been
going to
an
speak on
offender.
Krishna's 64 qualities. They said one class. We should have
could.
one class. I
for
mean,
each
actually, I mentioned yesterday.
quality.
I was going to some
2
devotees. I was
months.
going to speak on Krishna's 64 qualities. They said
actually,
one
without
class,
being-
we
yeah,
should have
without
one
being
class for
forgiving,
each. The opposite of being forgiving
quality.
is being entitled.
2
I
months.
see forgiveness is so intrinsic to humility.
Actually, without being forgiving,
it's also
the
intrinsic
opposite
to
of being
gratitude.
forgiving
Forgiveness
is being
gratitude
entitled.
and humility are very.
I see
intertwined.
forgiveness
is so
and
intrinsic
it's-
to
it's
humility.
interesting
that things like
It's also
gratitude and
intrinsic to
forgiveness
gratitude.
have been
Forgiveness and
linked to
gratitude
better
and
physical
humility
and
are
mental
very
health.
intertwined.
Like people
And
who are more
it's
grateful. and who are more
interesting that
forgiving
things like
are going to be
gratitude
healthier.
and
They're gonna heal
forgiveness
faster.
have been
They're not
linked
gonna be
to
as
better
likely to get
physical
sick.
and mental health.
It's quite interesting.
Like people
that
who are
these
more
qualities
grateful and who are more
actually
forgiving
are going to
they're-
be healthier.
they're
They're gonna
beneficial
heal
all
faster.
around.
They're not going to be as likely to get
Very
sick.
grave.
I mean, it's quite interesting.
It's
That
interesting
these
that he
qualities
didn't say
actually
anything to Lord
Brahma after Lord
they're
Brahma's
beneficial
prayers.
all around.
We can remember Krishna's
Very
attitude
grave.
of gravity when we think about the
interesting
weather.
that
He didn't say
Right?
anything
Even
to
if
Lord
there's
Brahma
dark
after
clouds in the
Lord
sky, we
Brahma's
don't know.
prayers.
Are they going to rain?
We can remember
Are they
Krishna's
not going to?
attitude of grave
We don't
gravity
always know what Krishna's
when we
going
think
to
about
do.
the
What's
weather.
his intentions
Right?
in
Even
our
if there's
life.
dark clouds in the sky, we don't know. Are
Self-satisfied.
they going to rain? Are they not going to rain?
We don't always
Krishna
know what
gives
Krishna's
credit
going
to his
do.
devotees.
What's his intentions
He's
in our
not
life.
disturbed. This is also of course, related to
Self-satisfied
forgiveness and tolerance. He's not disturbed when Shishupal
Krishna
calls
gives
him,
credit to
I have
his
a typo.
devotees.
Called
He's
him
not
ill
disturbed.
names. This is also, of course, related to forgiveness.
Even when there's
and
causes for
tolerance, he's not
distress.
disturbed.
And interesting, of course, when
Shishupal
Krishna
calls
talks about
him,
knowing
I
our
have a
own
typo.
qualities, and these are also
Called him
we're
ill
still in the
names.
section. These are the qualities of the soul.
Even when there's
And Krishna
causes
says
for
when we
distress.
know
And
our own
interesting, of course, when
qualities,
Krishna
we'll not
talks
be
about
disturbed
knowing
by
our
them.
own qualities, and these are also
see
the,
that
we're
I am
still
the
in the
soul.
section. These are the
Nothing will
qualities
shake
of the
us.
soul. And Krishna says
Equilibrium,
when we know
know our
unaffected
own
by
qualities
attachment
will
and
not be disturbed by
envy.
envy. And here's
To see
Krishna
that I am
rewarding nothing will shake
Babishan,
us. Equilibrium, unaffected by attachment and envy,
was his own son.
And here's
because
Krishna
Bhamasura
rewarding
became
Babishan,
a demon,
who was the brother of his
and we
enemy,
can see
and
this
killing
possessing
Bhamasura,
equilibrium
who was his own
in that
son,
the sun
because
shines on everyone, the
Bhamasura
rain rains
became
on everyone,
a
the good
demon.
and the evil. And we can see this
That Krishna
possessing
is
equilibrium
impartial.
in that the sun shines on everyone, the rain
and
rains on
magnanimous,
everyone, the good
He's
and the
very
evil.
charitable. That Krishna is
Do we all
impartial
have more clothes than we absolutely need?
and magnanimous. He's very
More food
charitable.
than we need to eat? Do we all have more clothes
we
than
need
we absolutely
flowers?
need? Flowers? We have so much in our
more
life
food than
that's
we, beyond
than we
what
need,
we need
to eat.
because Krishna is very
Do
magnanimous.
we need flowers?
And
Flowers?
very religious.
We have so
religious
much in our
is to
life
both that's beyond
prachar
what we
and
need
achar.
because Krishna is very
To both know and to
magnanimous.
practice.
and very
And
religious.
heroic.
So
Very
religious is
expert
to
in
both
military arts.
prachar and achar,
And of course, it's related to what we're studying
to both
about now.
know
in
and to
Bhagavatam,
practice,
defeating Jarasandhar.
and heroic in his
Very
many
expert
times,
in
17
military
times
arts.
that Jarasandhar
And of course,
attacks.
it's related to what we're studying about now in the
And
Bhagavatam,
compassionate.
defeating Jarasandhar. So this is another
in
extremely
his many
important
times, 17 times
quality
that
of a devotee
Jarasandhar
to be
attacks.
compassionate. This is that the essence
And
of all of our
compassionate.
preaching activities.
So this is another
And of course,
extremely
this is also
important
related to what we're studying
quality
about
of a
Jarasandhar,
devotee
though not
to
at
be
this particular
compassionate.
moment. This is that
But
the
how,
essence of
Krishna
all of our
releases the
preaching
king's
activities.
respectful.
And of course, this is also related to what we're studying about
Here's
Jarasandhar,
Krishna
though not at
washing
this
the feet
particular
of
moment.
Sudama
But
Brahmana.
how,
Krishna
so we see
releases the
respect throughout the
king's
creation. The ocean
respectful.
respects the shore. Animals,
Here
they
is Krishna
smell
washing the
another
feet of
animal's
Sudama
scent and they
Brahmana.
respect that
So we see
territory.
respect
throughout the creation.
You know,
the
the
ocean
lions in the
respects the
pride,
shore.
they
respect the chief lion.
Animals,
or the,
they smell
and the wolf,
another
they respect
animal's
the chief
scent,
wolf.
and they
The
respect
elephants
that
respect
territory.
The chief elephant. We see this
You know,
respect
the lions in
everywhere.
the
bees
pride,
and
they
the ants,
respect
they
the
respect
chief
the
lion,
queen.
or the
So
and the
respect
wolf, they
is
respect
there
the chief
throughout
wolf, the
all of
elephants
creation.
respect the chief elephant. We
And
see
very
this respect
gentle
everywhere. The bees and
Of
the
course,
ants,
this is
they respect
Krishna's
their
queen.
Dira Prasanta
Respect is there
quality.
throughout all of
the
creation.
topmost gentleman
And very
Sri
gentle.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya
Of course, this is
Bhagavata
Krishna's,
Adikanda
Dira
13:14.
He talks about that fruit,
the
that trees
topmost
that are very
gentleman.
qualified
And
by
Sri
having
Chaitanya
many fruits
Mahaprabhu in
still
Chaitanya Bhagavata
bow low upon
Adikanda
the ground in
13:14.
gentleness.
He talks about
And
that
he's
fruit,
very
that trees
liberal.
that are very qualified by having
That
many
even
fruits,
if one of his
still
devotees
bow
commits
low
great
upon the
offenses,
ground in
he considers,
gentleness.
but they've also done
And
some
he's
service.
very liberal.
And
that
very
even if
shy.
one of
Does
his
anyone remember
devotees
from the
commits
Bhagavatam
great offenses,
what part of Krishna's
he
body
considers, but
demonstrates
they've
his
also done some
shyness?
service.
And very shy. Does anyone
His
remember
upper
from the
lip.
Bhagavatam what part of Krishna's body demonstrates his
And his
shyness?
hand was shaking.
But his upper lip is his shyness. His upper lip. And Krishna. And his
the
hand was
protector of the
shaking.
surrendered soul.
But
So
his
here we
upper
have
lip
pictures
is
of
his
Babishan
shyness, taking shelter of Lord Ramachandra. One of my favorite stories.
the protector
of
of
the
the
surrendered soul. So here we have pictures of Babishan. And always happy. Shelter of Lord Ramachandra. It's all
One of
opulences
my
and
favorite
always happy.
stories of
And
the
we see a lot
Ramayana.
of happiness in the world. Hey, birds
and
always
bees
happy
are
dancing. It's all
Flowers
opulences
are
and
blooming.
always happy.
There's this
and we see a lot of
tendency, even among the
happiness in the
animals,
world.
there's
so much
Hey,
playfulness.
birds and
as a
bees are
representative
dancing.
of Krishna's happiness. And
Flowers
well-wisher
are
of
blooming.
his devotees. There's this tendency, even among the animals, there's so
we
much
probably
playfulness.
have at least someone in our
as a
life who's our
representative of
well-wisher.
Krishna's happiness. And well-wisher
us
of
of
his
how much
devotees.
Krishna
is our well-wisher, that he'll sell himself to
probably
someone
have
who
at
gives
least
him
someone
someone
in
in
our
our
life
life
who's
who's our
also
well-wisher. And controlled by
Remind us of
love,
how
how much Krishna is our well-wisher, that he'll
This
sell
is another
himself
topic
to
Srila
someone who
Prabhupada
gives
talks
him a
about
little
a lot.
water with a
And we
tulsi
find this
leaf.
in our own life.
And
We find
controlled by
that
love.
there are
vicious dogs, but they're controlled by the love
This
of
is
their
another
master.
topic
Srila Prabhupada talks about a lot.
And
And
Prabhupada
we
talks
find this
about
in our
the-
own
a
life.
big
We
politician
find,
who was
there are
giving his
vicious
grandson a
dogs, but they're
horseback ride.
controlled by the love
And so
of
he
their
didn't
master.
meet
with some big person who was waiting for him.
Prabhupada talks about a
And
big
all
politician who
auspicious,
was giving his
even things
grandson a
that seem
horseback
harmful
ride.
and destructive
And so
in
he didn't
nature.
meet with some
right?
big
Plants
person who was
die and
waiting
then they
for him.
give the soil for new
And
life.
all auspicious.
Actually, everything that
Even
happens
things that
is
seem
auspicious
harmful and
most
destructive
powerful
in
So
nature.
here I have
Right?
Ram
Plants
defeating
die
Ravana
and
and
they give
Asinga
the
defeating
soil for new
Hiranyakashipu
life.
and Varaha
Actually,
defeating
everything that
Hiranyakashipu
happens is
Padasaram
auspicious
ready
and
with
most
most powerful. So here I have.
So
Ram
generally
defeating
we're
Ravana
afraid
and
of the
Asinga
power of
defeating
nature.
Hiranyakashipu and
But it can
Varaha
remind us
defeating
how Krishna
Hiranyakashipu
is all
Padasaram ready with
famous.
his axe. So
So
here's
generally
Balaram,
we're
whose
afraid
clothes
of
have
the
become
power
white.
of nature. because he
remind
heard
us how Krishna
the
is
chanting of Krishna's name.
famous.
Unfortunately, we don't have the.
So here's
Yamuna also
Balaram, whose
turning into
clothes have
milk in this
become
picture.
white.
Because
And
he
very
heard,
popular.
the
When Krishna
chanting
was
of
in the
Krishna's
wrestling
name.
arena, everybody
Unfortunately, we don't
was
have the
attracted to him
Yamuna also
on
turning
different
into milk in
levels.
this picture. And of course, this is a very wonderful.
And very
I think
popular.
Radharika
When
was
Krishna
speaking
was
about
in the
this in
wrestling
class a few
arena,
weeks ago.
everybody was
all the
attracted
different
to him
rasas were
on
there
different
in all
levels.
The different people. Of course,
And
this is a
partial
very
to his
wonderful- I think
devotees.
Radharika was speaking about this in a class a few
Like
weeks
Prabhupada
ago.
said, if there's some
All the
emergency,
different rasas were
nobody
there in
blames
all
a
the
man
different
for
people.
rescuing his own
And
children
partial
first.
to his devotees.
So
So Krishna is also
Like Prabhupada said, if
on
there's
one
some
hand, he's
emergency,
neutral, and on the
nobody
other hand,
blames a man for
because he's
rescuing his own
reciprocating
children
Yayatamam
first.
Prabhajante.
He's
So
partial
Krishna
to
is
his
also
devotees.
like that. On one hand, he's neutral,
that?
and on the other
Isn't
hand,
that gorgeous?
because he's reciprocating Yayatamam Prabhajante.
Very attractive to all women. All of his queens, all of the gopis. It said
You
they were
like that?
attracted to him
Isn't that
like
gorgeous?
iron to a magnet.
Which we can remember.
Very
whenever we
attractive
use
to all women.
magnets.
All of
All
his queens, all
worshipful.
of the gopis. It said they
Even
were
Lord
attracted to
Balaram
him
worshiped
like
him.
iron
Even
to a magnet.
Mahavishnu is worshiping
We can
him.
remember whenever we use
all throughout
magnets.
human society.
All worshipful.
And there's so much worship.
Even
of
Lord
the Lord.
Balaram worship him. Even
All the
Mahavishnu
6
is
opulences
worshiping him
in full.
all throughout human society.
Vrindavan,
the
there's so much
Chintamani
worship
dust,
of
the
the Lord.
ornaments of the gopis.
All
They're
the
higher
6
than any wealth we
opulences
can
in
imagine.
full.
Oh, I love this one.
And the Vrindavan,
Krishna is
the
all
Chintamani
honorable.
dust,
Even the
ornaments
demigods
of the
have to wait
gopis.
to see him.
They're higher than any wealth we
And
can
his
imagine.
servants may say
Oh,
to
I
him,
love
sorry,
this one.
Varuna, Krishna can't see you today.
Krishna
You
is
have to
all
come back
honorable.
tomorrow."
Even the
Indra,
demigods
stop
have
saying
to
your
wait to
prayers
see
out
him.
loud. You're disturbing everybody.
And his
Shiva and
servants
Brahma
may
say
say
to
to
them,
them,
sorry,
sorry,
Varuna, Krishna
I was
can't
teaching
see you
this
today. You have
at
to come
one
back
place in
tomorrow.
Europe, and
Indra,
after
stop
that,
saying your
we went to
prayers
the
out
train
loud. You're
station, and
disturbing
we were trying to
everybody.
get a map, and we
Shiva
had to
and
take a
Brahma, you
number
have
and
to
wait.
wait your turn.
And as we were
I was
waiting, one of the
teaching this
devotees looks
at
at me and
one
says,
place in
"Krishna
Europe,
is
and
all
after that,
honorable. He
we
makes
went
the
to the train
demigods
station,
wait."
and we were trying to get a map, and we had to take a
The
number and
supreme
wait.
controller.
And as we were waiting, one of the
Right.
devotees looks
We're
at me and
not
says,
in
"Krishna
control.
is all honorable. He
When
makes
it
the
rains on
demigods
our
wait."
picnic,
The
when
supreme
our car
controller.
breaks down, we can remember
We're not in
that
control.
Krishna is the supreme controller.
When it rains on our
He
picnic,
can save his enemy.
when
He
our car
maintains
breaks
the
down.
universe. We can
All right, those are the
remember
qualities
that Krishna
shared
is
with
the
the
supreme
Jiva.
controller.
These are qualities only
can
shared
save
with
his
Shiva
enemy.
and Vishnu.
He maintains the universe.
So he's changeless.
All right, those
He
are the
appears- I
qualities
talked
shared
about
with
this
the Jiva
last week. Even
These
when
are
he appears
qualities
in the
only
material
shared
world,
with Shiva and
he
Vishnu.
maintains his position even if he's
So
touching
he's
the ground.
changeless.
He
Never
appears. I
loses
talked about
his
this
spiritual
last week. Even when he
position.
appears in the
And Srila
material
Rupa
world,
Goswami
says that
he
even
maintains
the
his
devotees are not
position
affected
even if
by
he's
mine.
touching the
What to
ground.
speak
He
of
never
Krishna.
loses his spiritual
And he
position.
knows
And Srila Rupa
everything.
Goswami
says that even the
So
devotees
the
are
modern
not affected
society,
by
the
mine.
government is
What
trying to know
speak
everything.
of Krishna.
Google is trying to know
And he
everything.
knows
But
everything.
only Krishna actually knows.
So in the modern society, the
everything.
government is trying to know
Everything,
everything.
past,
present, and future.
Google is
everything
trying
we're
to
thinking,
know
feeling, ever
but only
fresh.
Krishna actually knows
Everything. Everything.
So we
past,
find
present,
this,
and
of course,
future.
whenever we
Everything
pick
we're
up the
thinking and
Shastra,
feeling.
whenever we're chanting the
Ever
Mahamantra,
fresh.
it's always fresh. It's always new. So
And
we
he has
find
a
this,
Sat
of
Chit
course, whenever we
Ananda
pick up the Shastra,
Vigraha.
whenever we're chanting the Mahamantra, it's always fresh. It's always new.
He's full of knowledge.
And he has a Sat Chit
He's full of
Ananda
pleasure.
Vigraha.
And these are things that we're always wanting in life. We want to live. He's full of knowledge. We want to be full of life and
He's full of
vitality.
pleasure.
We want
And
to
these
be-
are things
know
that
things,
we're
we want
always
to
wanting
understand
in
things,
life.
and
We
we want to live.
enjoy.
That is because we're a little bit of
We want
Krishna
to be
who
full of
has
life
these
and
qualities
vitality.
in perfection.
We want to be
all
know things. We
mystic,
want to
understand
understand
things,
things.
and we want to enjoy. That
Whenever
is
anybody
because we're
does
a
something,
little
see
bit
a
of Krishna
magician,
who has these qualities,
right? Or anyone
in
doing something
perfection.
amazing.
And
All
Krishna has
mystic
perfections. He can
perfections.
control all of the mystic powers.
Whenever anybody
absolutely.
does something, we see a magician.
And then these are the
Right?
qualities
Or anyone
shared
doing
with
something
Narayana.
amazing.
And Krishna has
Inconceivable
control all of the
potencies.
mystic powers, absolutely.
And we can be reminded of this in
And then
nature.
these are the
a
qualities
grain of
shared with
sand
Narayana can turn into a pearl inside of an
Inconceivable
oyster.
potencies.
And we can be
One
reminded of
man's
this in
forgiveness
nature.
can
A grain
transform
of
a
sand can turn into a pearl
One man who
inside
has
of an
faith
oyster.
and love for God can elevate millions.
One
of
man's
people
forgiveness can
spiritually.
transform
Why
a
can't
country?
God have inconceivable potencies?
One man who has
His
faith
body
and love
generates
for God
universes.
can elevate millions.
We
of
can remember
people
this whenever we
spiritually.
see Why can't God have
franchised
inconceivable
stores.
potencies?
His body generates universes.
Dandelion dandelion seeds
We can
blowing
remember
in the
this
wind. Whenever we see
Children blowing
franchised
bubbles.
stores,
Spiders releasing thousands of their
dandelion
young,
seeds
their little
blowing in the
parachutes.
wind.
Why can't
children
Krishna
blowing
create
bubbles,
millions of universes?
spiders releasing
all
thousands
incarnations
of their young in their little
and heroes can
parachutes.
remind us of
Why can't
Ramachandra.
Krishna create
Those who root
millions
out
of
corruption
universes?
can remind us of
All
Parasuram.
incarnations,
Teachers of nonviolence can remind us
heroes
of Buddha.
can remind us of
Protectors of
Ramachandra,
children can remind
those
us
who
of
root out
Nrsimhadev.
corruption
Can remind us
quiet,
of
peaceful
Parasuram.
supporters can
Teachers
remind
of
us
nonviolence
of
can remind us of Buddha. Give
protectors of
salvation
children
to
can
the
remind us
enemies
of
the
that he
Nrsimhadevs.
kills.
Quiet, peaceful
So
supporters
even
can
among
remind us
our
of
karma,
normal dealings. We can forgive someone.
give
and
salvation to
restore
the
them to
enemies
their
that he
original
kills.
relationship. But
So
Krishna,
even among
even if someone
our
is
normal
hurting
dealings,
him, we
we can
can
back to
forgive
Godhead
someone
and
he
restore them
attracts
to
the
their
liberated
original
souls.
relationship.
But
We can
Krishna,
remind-
even
we
if
can be
someone is
reminded of
hurting
this
him,
whenever we
he
do
can take
something
them
not
back
out
to
of
Godhead.
obligation,
And
but
he
just out
attracts
of
the
pure
liberated
joy.
souls. The liberated souls
We
have
can
nothing to
remind-
ask
we
for.
can be
and that's
reminded of this
unconditional.
whenever we
Sochati
do something
Nakanchati.
not out
And
of
still they're
obligation,
attracted
but
to
just
Krishna,
out of pure
just out of
joy.
The liberated souls
And
have
then
nothing to
qualities
ask
that
for. and
only
that's
Krishna
unconditional. Sochati
manifests,
Nakanchati.
and still they're
Performance
attracted
of
to
wonderful
Krishna
activities
just out of joy.
And then qualities
one?
that only Krishna
Yeah.
manifests.
By Dhriti, yeah.
Performance of wonderful activities. I would
this one?
actually buy this whole painting, but it's
By
like
Dhriti,
$400,
yeah.
and so I would
Wonderful
actually
activities.
buy this whole painting, but it's like $400.
Krishna has
and so- devotees in all of the rasas, and of course the ultimate
Wonderful
pastime
activities.
is his ras lila. Krishna
And
has
surrounded by
devotees
loving
in all of the
devotees.
rasas. This is something.
And
This
of
is
course,
a painting
the
from our
ultimate
Manishik
pastime
done
is
by
his
Gananjana
Rasa Lila.
that displays
And
all
surrounded
of the
by
five
loving
rasas,
devotees.
the chief devotees.
This is
in each of the
something-
rasas.
this is a painting from
Prabhupada
our
talks about
Manishik
this when he
book
says how a king
by
is always
Gananjana
surrounded by his
that
entourage.
displays all of the five
Right, or,
rasas.
you know, in
the
our
chief
modern
devotees
day,
in
the
each of
actors are
rasas.
always surrounded by their
Prabhupada talks about this when he
camera
says how a
crew and
king
their
is always
assistants
surrounded by
and-
his entourage.
Right.
Teachers
Right, or,
are
you know, in
surrounded
our
by their
modern day, the
students.
actors, they're always
And this
surrounded
reminds
by
us
their
Krishna is never
camera
alone. He's
crew
always
and their
surrounded by
assistants
his
and-
devotees.
right.
And his
Teachers are
attractive
surrounded by their
flute
students.
playing. And this
We're
reminds
so
us Krishna is
attracted
never
by
alone.
music.
He's always surrounded by
People will
his
spend a lot of
devotees.
money
and
his
his attractive
tickets to hear
flute
their favorite
playing.
musician. We're so attracted
Imagine
by
listening to
music.
Krishna's
People
flute
will spend a lot of
music.
money and to buy
It penetrates
tickets to
the covering
hear
of
their
the
favorite
universe. It
musician.
stops
Lord Shiva from
Imagine
playing his
listening
drum.
to Krishna's
The Kumaras
flute
become
music.
disturbed in their meditation.
It penetrates
Lord
the
Brahma
covering of the
becomes
universe.
astonished.
It stops
and
Lord Shiva from
Anantadev,
playing his
who's
drum.
holding the planets. The
starts
Kumaras
moving
become
back and
disturbed in their meditation. Lord Brahma becomes
finally,
astonished.
his
And
unrivaled
Anantadev,
beauty.
who's holding the planets.
so many
starts
beauty
moving
contests
back in this world.
And finally,
My mother won a beauty
his
contest when she was
unrivaled
15.
beauty.
Got to travel all over the world
There
by
are so
ship,
many
of course,
beauty
in those days.
contests
in this world. So, you know, who's the topmost beauty?
My mother won a beauty
but
contest
Krishna,
when she
he's
was 15.
unrivaled. Got to travel all over the world
doesn't
by
have
ship,
any-
of course,
anyone
those
in
days. contest with him. So, you
for
know, who's
his
the topmost beauty? So I
But
hope
Krishna,
you've
he's
enjoyed this
unrivaled.
meditation on Krishna's
He doesn't have
64
anyone in
qualities
contest with him.
Although, as
for
Krishna
his
says in today's verse, so I hope you've
that his
enjoyed this
qualities are
meditation on
unlimited,
Krishna's
and even if
64
you can count all of the
qualities.
grains of sand,
Although, as
you
Krishna
cannot
says
count
in
his
today's
qualities.
verse, that his qualities are unlimited, and even if you can count all of the grains of sand, you cannot count his qualities. Well, thank you. Thank you. I try to have a lot of PowerPoints without much text because I travel a lot internationally. And so I like to have it so that people who can't read English
try to have a
aren't,
lot
like,
of
overwhelmed
PowerPoints
by
without
text.
much text,
But
because
some
I
of them
travel a
do
lot
have
internationally.
Any of all of my
And
ones
so
that are
I
related
like
to
to have
Bhakti
it so that
Rasamrita
people who
Sindhu,
can't read
I like to
English
have a lot
aren't,
of like overwhelmed by text. But
Thank
some
you
of
all
them
very
I do
much,
have.
and all glories to
any of
Srila
all my
Prabhupada
ones
who
that are
connected us
related
with
to
Srila
Bhakti
Rupa
Rasamrita
Goswami.
Sindhu, I
Without
can have
Srila Prabhupada,
all we would be able to say is
Thank you
there
all
is a
very
God
much,
and
and
He
all
is
glories
great.
to Srila Prabhupada who connected us with
Prabhupada
Srila
ki
Rupa
jai,
Goswami.
Srila Rupa
Without
Goswami
Srila
ki
Prabhupada,
jai, Shri Chaitanya
all we would be
Mahaprabhu
able
ki
to say
jai.
is there is a God and He is great.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Govindam Aloka Pravesha Nija Jari Utaji Iva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Morari Rama Krishna I agree Iva Rama Krishna Eva Nashinga Vamana Shimata Sudana Brajendra Nandana Shama Putana Gadana Kaitaba Shadana Jaya Dasarati Rama Yasoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Puran Dada Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bara Navana Takara Makana Taskara Gopi Jana Pascha Hari. Vrajera Kala Gopa Brindapala Chitta Hari Bamsit Hari. Vrajera Kala Gopa Brindapala Chitta Hari Bamsit Hari. Yogindra Bandana Srinandanandana Prashachana Bhaya Hari. Navina Nirada Rupa Manohara Mohana Bamsi Bihari. Yashodanandana Kamsani Shudana Nikunja Asabi Lasi. Kadamba Kanana Rasapayayana Brinda Vipina Nivasi. Ananda Vardana Premani Kaitana Pula Sara Yojak Kama.